Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
My friends, do you smoke, vape, or chew tobacco? If so, Knick Knack Naturals is here to help you crush your vice. Knick Knacks are nicotine mints that completely dissolve in your mouth. No smoke, no spit, no mess. This product is only for folks currently using nicotine products who are looking for a better alternative. Visit knickknack.com and use promo code Todd to save 15%. That's NICNAC, knickknack.com, promo code Todd.
Attention, you're listening to the Todd Huff Radio Show, America's home for conservative, not bitter talk radio. Be advised that the content of this program has been documented to prevent and even cure liberalism, and listening may cause you to lean to the right. Here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, that is right, my friends. I've got allergies today. Not bad. I've just, if you're watching on Rumble or the website, you might see that my eyes look a little red. It's because of allergies. I've not been crying here in the studio, although there's certainly moments that I feel like it. Welcome to the program. You can be part of it. Share your thoughts, questions, feedback, adoration, and praise. Also accepted at todd@toddhuffshow.com, or if you prefer, you can text 317-210-2830. You know, folks, on today's program, I want to talk about the ways that the left plays games with you and with me, with the American people, the American taxpayer, to justify their political positions, to try to stop the advancement of conservative principles and values, what Trump is trying to do. They play a bunch of games. They play dumb. They get the case of pretendinitis where they make things up out of whole cloth. They gaslight us. I'll get into that, the different ways that they've done that. I've got, just in today's stack, I've got 6 examples that I think fall under, at least 5 of them fall under this particular umbrella. So we're going to talk about that today, and we'll get into other things as well, time permitting. Before I do that, though, my friends, let me tell you about Kenai Fish. Kenai Fish is a family-owned company bringing you the absolute best wild caught. That's wild caught. It's not farm fresh or anything like that. It's wild caught Alaskan seafood, straight from the waters of Alaska. They have salmon straight from the world famous Kenai and Castleoff rivers. It's sockeye, it's coho, it's king salmon. They also have halibut from the Gulf of Alaska. Again, not to be confused with the Gulf of America. It's mild, it's sweet, it's perfect for grilling, it's perfect for baking. It's perfect even if you want to air fry it. And don't forget their shellfish, king crabs, snow crabs, scallops, a whole lot more, all sustainably harvested and vacuum sealed for freshness. It's shipped via next day air right to your door, no matter where you are in this great nation. Kenai Fish is for people who care about quality. And listen, my friends, I know that you're tuned in here, so obviously quality is important to you. All you have to do is go to KenaiFish.com, Kenai fish.com. Use promo code Todd. You'll save 15% off your order. That's KenaiFish.com, KenaiFish.com. Trust me, my friends, your taste buds and your family will thank you. KenaiFish.com, promo code Todd. All right, let's start here today. Jasmine Crockett, she's on a show on MSNBC. Don't ask me to tell you which one it is, because in my mind, they are all identically the same, my friend. She's on a show on MSNBC talking about illegal immigration, talking about Trump's enforcement of the border, talking about just deportations, that whole thing. And she's going to make the case here that it is not illegal. I kid you not. She says this, her words, not mine. It's not illegal to cross our southern border. An example, again, of how the left is gaslighting you, gaslighting me, lying to us, playing dumb with us to advance their political agenda and to stop the agenda of conservatives, of Trump, etc. So here's what she has to say about that on MSNBC. Oh, hold on here. Give me a second here. All right. Had to refresh this. Let's do it again. Hold on here. All right, give me a minute here to reconnect this. But so I tell you what, it is always a joy when this stuff does not work. It throws it into chaos here on the early stages of the program on a Monday. So this, the broader picture here is that the left is, that their ideas are built upon sinking sand. Their ideas are not rooted in reality. Their ideas are not something that you can argue logically and explain to the American people. They have to gaslight us in order for that to actually happen, for their idea. Here we go. I got it connected now. But that's how they have to do it.
Are so outraged by these immigrants and the crime that they're bringing, and not to mention city law enforcement, local law enforcement. They are always going after crime, and they don't say, oh, you committed a murder. Oh, but you're an immigrant. Well, let me let you go. Right. So they are always focused on crime. They continue to say things like the illegals and that they broke the law coming in. But what they're not telling the American people is that it is a civil violation. It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally.
Not a criminal.
It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime, which is why they're so frustrated, because they really want our local law enforcement to go out and round up people when they could be looking out for the murderers and the sexual abusers as well as the robbers. They want them to go and round people up on civil accusations.
Okay. So that's what she wants you to believe. She wants you to believe that coming into this country illegally is not a crime. And so the left is obsessed with this. The left is obsessed with words and phrases. They're obsessed with how you think, or how the American people think about things. They want to get in there and to use language to get people to think differently about these things. By the way, that was perhaps the roughest example in my nearly 10 years of broadcasting here on this program of leading into a soundbite. I've had technical problems before, but I am telling you what, that one caught me completely off guard because, again, this has been working pretty smoothly here, but it didn't. And I tell you, you wouldn't even believe me if I told you. I can set it up. The number of times that I set it up, I play it, it's ready to go, and then I hit play for you when we're streaming, and it doesn't work. I'm telling you, it's almost like it's out to sabotage the show. But we're not going to let it here today, my friends. Thank you for your patience on that. But so the point here is that Jasmine Crockett is trying to get the American people, the people who are tuned into MSNBC anyway, to think about illegal immigration as though it's just a civil infraction, as though it's simply breaking the speed limit, not wearing your seatbelt. That's what she wants you to think. She says it's not a crime, and that's the Katie Phang show, Phang. No intentional disrespect to Katie Phang, but with all due respect, every show over there is the exact same when it comes to absolute, utter insanity. But that's Representative Jasmine Crockett, Democrat from Texas. She says that it is not a crime. It's not breaking the law to be in this country illegally. It's a civil infraction. However, looking here at foxnews.com, improper entry into the United States is considered a federal misdemeanor crime in violation of 8 USC 1325. It's punishable by fines and up to 6 months in jail for first-time offenders. Repeat offenders can be subjected to fines and up to 2 years in prison. So, listen, it's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony, but it is a crime. It is illegal. I don't know what else to say about this. The lengths that the radical left, will go to make it sound like Republicans, Donald Trump, conservatives, the people who want to make America great again, the lengths that they will go to try to paint the picture to say that they're not about enforcing the law or doing what is, what Congress has instructed or through the passage of law deemed to be illegal and so forth. They don't want you to know any of that. They want you to believe that Trump is targeting people who are guilty of something like an unpaid parking ticket. That is not the case at all. In fact, you can make the case. I mean, no one's out here saying it's a felony. I don't think so. But it can be if you're a repeat offender. In fact, let's see, U.S. Code under 8 U.S.C. 1326, reentry of removed illegal immigrants who have been removed following the conviction of 3 or more misdemeanor crimes can also face up to 10 years in prison. That is a felony. Reentry of removed illegal immigrants who have been removed following the conviction of a felony can face 20 years in prison. These are laws on the books. These are things that have been passed by both houses of Congress and signed into law by the President of the United States. Those are the immigration laws on the books. And the truth is all Trump is doing is enforcing those laws. Look, the left is scrambling. The left is in panic mode. The left is hemorrhaging support. The left is losing all sorts of political capital. Their brand has been damaged. They've determined that they are going to be on the wrong side of many, I would say virtually every single issue. They're on the wrong side of common sense. They're on the wrong side of morality. They're on the wrong side of decency. They are on the wrong side of, I would say, everything. I'll say virtually everything because maybe they've stumbled into, by accident, the right side of the issue. But they are just wrong virtually every single time. And they are scrambling. They are reeling. They don't know how to deal with this. Trump just gave what amounts to, it was a speech before a joint session of Congress, but for all intents and purposes, a State of the Union address that was widely accepted and well received by the American people just a week ago. He has all sorts of political capital. No one is really wanting to step in the way of President Donald J. Trump other than those on the political edge, the fringe, the periphery, people in the mainstream. I mean, 10 Democrats, by the way, I mentioned this on Friday, 10 Democrats actually joined Republicans in censuring Al Green. 10 Democrats said you can't behave like that. 10 Democrats said you're taking this too far. Now, I don't believe that those 10 Democrats have suddenly woken up and have a sense of decency and so forth. I believe that their constituents have had enough. I believe that their constituents are making phone calls to their offices and saying, you got to get on the right side of this issue or we're not voting for you in 2026. That's what's happening. By the way, that's exactly what needs to happen here in this great nation in order for us to regain control of what's happening in Washington, D.C. and in our nation's city capital, or state capitals, I should say. So back to Jasmine Crockett. This 100% is a crime. I know she doesn't know what she's talking about, but I don't think she even knows what she wants us to pretend that she knows that she's talking about. She is utterly lost on this. It is a crime. It can be a felony. And so these crimes are on the books. Trump's not simply trying to go after people with unpaid parking tickets or library fines. Trump is going after people who are not supposed to be here in this country, particularly those who have committed other heinous acts. Now, Jasmine Crockett here, representative from Texas, a leftist, she in her comments said that it's not like these cities are arresting people for murder, for example, and saying, what's your immigration status? And when they find out that they're illegal, they say, oh, let's release you. I wouldn't say that that's entirely the case. There was an example in Boston. I went through this a couple of weeks ago, right after Trump got into office. Tom Homan, we played the clip on here. Tom Homan went to, I think it was Boston, and they did ICE enforcement. They were doing deportations, and they had found people. They had found people who had been arrested by, I don't know if it was the city of Boston, the state, or whoever. They had been charged with some very, very violent crimes and released prior to being handed over to the to ICE. So this is what happens. What happens is no one's even asking the city. She's also, by the way, she's saying in this soundbite that Trump and MAGA Republicans are mad that police forces in local cities. By the way, I don't know if Jasmine Crockett was even in office when this was a thing, but the left a few years ago was talking about defunding the police. So now they're talking about how important the job is, the job of law enforcement, which I'm glad that they're doing that finally. But they're doing it not to stop crime in these cities where crime is often rampant and out of control. They're doing it to shelter and to protect the illegal immigrants from actually having to face justice. So Trump hasn't asked, Homan hasn't asked, the Kristi Noem hasn't asked the local city or state law enforcement to do the job of the federal government. All they're doing is saying, if you have someone in your custody, and if we find that that person is illegally in this country, then we're just going to ask you to hold them for 24, 48 hours so that we can then come and take them. That's all that's being asked here. And these cities say no. And oftentimes they choose to release these folks into the streets. Sometimes they have violent charges. They do. At least that's what I've seen in these reports. That's what it was talking about, the one that I referenced here a couple weeks ago in Boston. I'm not saying it's every time by any stretch of the imagination, but I am saying that it has happened. There are people who are violent offenders, people that are members of gangs. I mean, I went through it. I remember talking about what the report was. I think it was from Boston. It might have also been from another city or other cities, plural. But regardless, this is the strategy. And who can possibly be against that? What reasonable, rational human being is against someone who's already in custody, who ICE realizes that you have in custody? ICE says, wait a minute, that person's not even supposed to be in this country. Just hold on to them. They might have been in your possession, in your custody, in your jail cell for a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe several weeks. Who knows? We realize that you've got this particular person. We want to come and simply pick that person up. Can you hold that person for 48 hours? Some of the cities say no. That's what a sanctuary city is. They say no, choosing instead to release the person. Some cases, I forget the city that did this. I forget the city. It might have been Denver. I can't remember. But you heard these mayors that were, if you watched any of the hearings late last week in Congress, they brought some of these mayors in to talk about their sanctuary city policies. The mayor of Chicago, the mayor of Boston, the mayor of Denver, I forget. Oh, Mayor Eric Adams was there as well. And so they were questioning these mayors regarding what was the cost on their cities. What did it look like when ICE requested the city to hand over an illegal alien? What did that look like? Some of these places, they released them into, instead of handing them over to ICE, they released them into a parking lot. I heard Jim Jordan talking with, I forget which city it was, but instead of handing the person over to ICE, Instead of letting the person, the ICE agent walk into the jail cell, take the person, and then put them into the deportation proceedings. Instead, what this city started to do was release the person into the parking lot. ICE has to send 6 agents instead of just a couple, right? If they're just going into a jail cell, they only need probably 2 people to transport that person and to process them for deportation or whatever's going to happen. But if you drop somebody into the parking lot, you got to have a team of people in case it's no longer a secure transition. So it's incredible what they do. These are not people who just have overdue parking tickets or late library fees or something like that. These are people that are, in the vast majority of instances, criminal illegal aliens. They have been convicted of, charged with, suspected of connections with being a gang member, with drug crimes, with gun crimes. Sometimes it's assault. And some of these are very, very serious charges, maybe that they've had in the past. But these are the people that we're trying to make sure are no longer in this country. There's not a single, I'm telling you, if you are against this, you are not a reasonable human being. That is completely reasonable. Hold the person for 48 hours. We will come and get them. We're not asking you to go door to door. We're not asking you to, as they want you to think, we're not asking you to go into schools and get the kids. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about someone that's in your custody. Keep them for 24, 48 more hours. We will come by. We will get them. We will take it from there. These cities refuse to do it. Jasmine Crockett doesn't want you to know, doesn't want me to know, doesn't want the American people to know how this is a game and a shenanigan. This is how they have to advance and defend their political positions because they are, quite frankly, indefensible. 100% indefensible. I got more to say about this. I got more examples of this. We'll get to that in due course here, my friends. Before we do that, if you're in sales, let me ask you a question. How would your life change if you doubled your sales? Think about that for just a second. More deals, bigger commissions, less stress, more income, a better life for your family. That's exactly what Matt Easton and Easton University can help you achieve. Matt's system is designed to transform your sales career. And he'll even personally jump on a call with you to help you get started when you become a member of Easton University. This isn't just a training program, by the way. It's a proven path to success. We've used it here at our program for our sales team. I'm aware of the system. I've met Matt. I think Matt is great. But you've got to take the first step, my friends. Visit sales.toddhuffshow.com. And I got to say this. It's not an email address. Oz asked me the other day, is that an email address? It's not sales at, it's sales.toddhuffshow.com. That's going to take you to get more information about the program. And if you sign up to be a student, you will get an additional bonus of a welcome call, personal call with Matt himself to walk you through your situation, your scenario. That's sales.toddhuffshow.com. Don't let another opportunity slip through your hands. Your future in sales starts today. All right. That being said, I've got to take a quick time out, my friends. You're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I've got other examples on the other side of the break of how the left plays dumb, how they gaslight us, how they misconstrue reality and truth to try to deceive people into following their morally bankrupt worldview and ideology. And we'll talk about that in a minute, my friends. Sit tight, back here in just a minute.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
My friends, do you smoke, vape, or chew tobacco? If so, Knick Knack Naturals is here to help you crush your vice. Knick Knacks are nicotine mints that completely dissolve in your mouth. No smoke, no spit, no mess. This product is only for folks currently using nicotine products who are looking for a better alternative. Visit knickknack.com and use promo code Todd to save 15%. That's NICNAC, knickknack.com, promo code Todd.
This holiday season, give the gift of flavor with Wild Oasis Bison. Treat your loved ones to the finest grass-fed, grass-finished bison cuts, showcasing the purity of the wild. Our ethical practices mean no hormones, antibiotics, or steroids, just good, clean meat. Visit wildoasisbison.com and use code TODD for an exclusive 15% off your first order. Our bison jerky is a perfect stocking stuffer for Christmas. Wild Oasis Bison, because exceptional meals start with exceptional meat.
Welcome back, my friends. So, I want to continue here. I want to move on past Jasmine Crockett, who's gaslighting us, who's telling us that Trump and the Make America Great Again movement, the Trump administration, conservatives are trying to go after people with the equivalent of parking tickets. And she claims that being in this country illegally, as I use the words here to describe what she said, it's just humorous to me. Being in the country illegally is apparently not illegal. She says it's not a crime. So that's what we talked about last segment. How about this? The way that the left tries to redefine reality, tries to gaslight us, tries to lie to us, what is required? I'll pause for a second. My mission, the mission of this program, is to help people hear and receive truth. And let me say this while I'm thinking about it. We started this program. I shared this, some things that are changing by the grace of God here, I think in the next week or so. But we started this program nearly 10 years ago in the bedroom closet with a digital microphone, a MacBook Air, and just a dream, pretty much. And we're now on about 20 stations, and we have been given an opportunity to fill at least one of the slots that will be vacated by Dan Bongino. He's going to become the deputy director of the FBI. He's stopping his radio program. They have created or have a host that's going to fill in for most of the stations, but some stations wanted to make a change, at least one in Portland, Oregon. And so we've been given this opportunity, and I shared with you last week, in order to do that, I got to get satellite distribution, which we knew for a long time. There's a cost to get on the satellite. Obviously, to get a satellite into space and to use the technology to deliver the program to radio stations, there's a cost with that. And I told you that to help with that, I decided, you know what, we're gonna create a lifetime membership opportunity for folks who to join the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle is a place, it's not launched yet, it's in the pre-launch stage, but here in the end of the spring, I expect to be launched with bonus content. We'll have some other videos, we'll do video calls. We're going to build a community and work on, again, delivering bonus content, but actually doing some things as well, shaping a group. I'm looking for the movers and shakers. It's just $99 for life. That's a membership for life. And I want to say thank you to those who signed up for that. And I want to tell you that if you have it, you can still do that. ToddHuffShow.com/join is where you can go for that. ToddHuffShow.com/join. But I wanted to take a moment and thank the folks who have joined that and that are going to participate in that, but also by participating have helped us be able to reach more people. That and generosity of people, without getting into details, I had a very generous person approach me and they're helping us to get on the satellite. So I just want to say thank you to all of you who have done those things and offer it to you. ToddHuffShow.com/join if you want to be a member and if you want to help continue making this show grow. But as I say all that, I want to say this. What we do every day is we help people receive truth. And the more that I do this, the more that I realize just how much the opposite it is, what we do, just how opposite it is our strategy, the way we go about doing business here versus people like Jasmine Crockett and people on the left. And what I mean by that is I don't have to try to manipulate or trick or hoodwink or use terms in such a way that they are confusing to try to make you agree with me. I am just a person who is on a path with you to understanding and receiving truth as much as we can this side of heaven. And so I actually want to illuminate. I want to help brighten the path of what is actually true. And so they are the opposite. They want to turn down the lights. They want to use sophisticated or tricky approaches, smoke and mirrors, language that doesn't make sense. And I'm going to get to that in a moment. And that's what all of this is. That's what all of this is that the left pushes on us, because they have to keep people in the dark. They have to keep people interested in doing things that are morally reprehensible in order for someone, and I mean this, listen, if you're someone who disagrees with me, I welcome you to listen. I welcome you to reach out. If you're going to be a total jerk about it, you might as well spit into the wind. But listen, I'm willing to have conversations and dialogue. But I am telling you, if you are a leftist, you have embraced a morally bankrupt worldview and ideology. And I think deep down you know it. I think that you know it. I think that's why you get so, maybe you don't, but I think people in the group of leftists that are out there today, I think the reason they get so angry is because it didn't work. It hasn't worked. It didn't work on people like me. It hasn't worked on people like the vast majority of you in this audience. All of the shenanigans, the smoke and mirrors, the deception, the double talk, the redefining of words. I mean, how many things have they done to try to deceive us? Back in the previous administration, they had to redefine what a recession was because they didn't want to admit that Biden had a recession. It just lasted for one quarter. It was small, but they didn't want to admit that. They had to, it's 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. And so that the criteria was met. But they wanted to redefine what the word meant because they didn't want Biden to have to run on having a recession. There's tons of it. They've redefined actually, they've stopped defining what men and women are. It hasn't been that they've redefined it, it's that they've stopped trying to define it. We're supposed to use words. Words are supposed to mean things. They tell us that certain words don't mean anything, men and women being the 2 most obvious primary examples. This is what the left does. This is how they do it. It is the opposite of what I do here. I come and I talk with you about the issues of the day. I have things that I want to get to. We often don't get to all of them because there's so much out there. But I tell you what I really think about it. And of course, usually it's spot on right. Every once in a while, I might have missed the mark here or there, but it's so rare I couldn't even tell you what it was. But the reality is that's not how the left plays. They have to come up and deceive, mislead, gaslight. That's what Jasmine Crockett did, but it's also what's being done here. What city is this? Sorry, I've read so much stuff here this morning. This is in Kentucky. In Kentucky. Headline here at frontpagemag.com. Media tries to redefine homelessness as urban camping. Surely changing the term will help. That's the headline here. I'm going to read a bit of this. Remember previous Orwellian rebrands of terrorism. You remember this. Terrorism was rebranded or renamed man-caused disasters. Criminals were, quote, justice-involved persons. You remember this. This is what the left does. This is who they are. This is how they behave. Women were chest feeders. You remember that? I don't know what some of these men who try to chest feed with equipment, with hoses and things like that I've seen out there. I don't know what they have to say about that. But these are terms. These are the things that the left has done. When I talk about the woke, the insane, godless, radical left, I'm talking about the people who live in this world where they have to redefine words in order for their worldview and their politics to make even the remotest amount of sense, which it still doesn't. But this is the lengths they have to go to. The article continues here. The woke language brigade is at it again. After renaming, quote, bums as the homeless, again, reading from the article here, they tried rebranding homeless as unhoused, which is just the same thing with an even bigger emphasis on the housing, as if that were the issue rather than the drugs, alcohol, and mental illness. Again, reading from this article at frontpagemag.com, and it's now it's not homelessness, it's urban camping. I kid you not. As Kentucky makes urban camping a crime, homeless court seeks to avoid punishment. That's a headline at Reuters. It's not camping. Going to the woods and putting up a tent is camping. Setting up a tent on Wilshire Boulevard or Fifth Avenue is squatting at best. So now they are going to the point to gaslight us into thinking that homelessness is now urban camping. And so if a city wants to prohibit homeless people living on the streets in a certain part of town, that's considered by the people who write news headlines, people who pretend to be journalists, they're said to be urban campers. I kid you not. What a crazed and delusional world that we live in, my friends. I've got to take a time out. You're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
My friends, do you smoke, vape, or chew tobacco? If so, Knick Knack Naturals is here to help you crush your vice. Knick Knacks are nicotine mints that completely dissolve in your mouth. No smoke, no spit, no mess. This product is only for folks currently using nicotine products who are looking for a better alternative. Visit knickknack.com and use promo code Todd to save 15%. That's NICNAC, knickknack.com, promo code Todd.
This holiday season, give the gift of flavor with Wild Oasis Bison. Treat your loved ones to the finest grass-fed, grass-finished bison cuts, showcasing the purity of the wild. Our ethical practices mean no hormones, antibiotics, or steroids, just good, clean meat. Visit wildoasisbison.com and use code TODD for an exclusive 15% off your first order. Our bison jerky is a perfect stocking stuffer for Christmas. Wild Oasis Bison, because exceptional meals start with exceptional meat.
Welcome back, my friends. Third and final segment of this, the first hour of the Todd Huff Show, talking about urban camping. Urban camping. You know, Oz and I, several years ago, 3 years ago, sold the house, bought a fifth wheel, traveled this country, part of the country. I do hope to continue what we call the Truth Tour. We'll see. We'll see what's in store here. But traveled in a fifth wheel with our family to grow the brand and so forth, to network, eventually to do other events, whatever. That's the plan. We actually go to campsites. On occasion, you might see us stop at along the road as we're en route somewhere. We might stop at, I don't know, a truck stop or a rest area, something like that. That's camping. Now, I will say it's a little bit different having a camper than it is. We've tent camped before. In fact, I remember, wasn't planning on telling you this story, but I remember when the kids were younger, we had a little bit of, not a huge property, but a little bit of property. It was wooded, and we had a little area and part of the property where it was wooded. We had a camp, like a campfire that we would set up, a fire pit of sorts. And so we would go out there on occasion, sleep in a tent, the kids and I. My wife would sleep inside. She wasn't going, I think she might have tried once, but she decided she was going to sleep inside on the bed. She turned out to be the smartest of all of us because that was not a comfortable way to do it. In fact, I think we got a little bit too close to some roots, to some tree roots. Anyway, one by one, the kids would work their way back into the house over the night, throughout the night. And I think I would wake up with one of the kids in the tent with me the following morning. That is camping, my friends. I would not have thought about pitching the tent in the middle of downtown Indianapolis and assuming that was camping. But this is what the left does. I remember I've told this story on here before as well. I, at one point in my life, was planning to go to law school, and I was in a pre-law program at American University, and I remember having a debate with the girl about the issue of abortion. I've shared this before, but I only bring it up because words mean things, and it turns out the way that we define and understand words and the terms of the debate often has a direct influence on who wins the debate. And so I remember we were debating abortion, and she said to me, "You're just anti-choice," to which it really lit my fire. And I said, "Listen, I'll tell you what, I'll allow you to call me anti-choice when you allow me to call you anti-life." And first of all, I love being, my family, we could be pretty feisty. And I think that there's oftentimes conservatives just take it, right? Conservatives are raised to be, and I'm not saying not to be this way, please do not misunderstand me, good, decent, respectable people. I think we should be, but I also think that there's a time for everything, and there's a time to put it back in their face. And the girl had never even had anyone do anything like this, because you could tell when I said it, she was A, surprised, but B, it was almost like there was an epiphany to where she realized that what I was doing to her was precisely what she was doing to me. And it didn't feel good because that's not exactly what she was trying to say, at least from her perspective. Just like I wasn't even talking about choice. I was talking about the choice or the life of the unborn child in the womb. I don't want to get into that issue, but the point is terms matter, definitions matter. And if you define, for example, a baby in the womb as a part of the woman's body, not something that is living off of the woman's body as the baby grows and matures and so forth, then that obviously changes the way people think about things. This reminds me of the book 1984, right? Where they have, double speak and just the focus on using the right words. Because when your ideology is not associated with truth, you have to play games. And that's ultimately what's going on here. The left is playing games because their ideology, their worldview is not rooted in truth. And no matter how much you say you don't care, no matter how much you pretend it doesn't exist, it is unavoidable. It is unavoidable. I remember I had a friend, actually Krish Dunham, who's filled in on this program before. He was born in India. And either he or Ravi Zacharias, I think it might have been Ravi, but it could have been Krish. They were at an event, and they were talking, they're very, very intellectual. Krish, Ravi Zacharias, very intelligent, very philosophically just sound individuals talking about logic. And there was a professor in their midst, and he was trying to tell either Krish or Ravi that what the Far East culture was like, how they define things. Of course, to Krish or Ravi, who grew up there, it was kind of comical. But the response was, even in India, by whether it was Krish or Ravi, I can't remember, but even in India, before we cross the street, we look both ways because it's either us or the truck. And so no matter how hard you try to deny reality, no matter how hard you try to come up with these games, you're at some point going to have to deal with the rubber meeting the road. You're at some point going to have to deal with things that make sense to people. And if you can't define them clearly, you're going to have a lot of trouble, as the left has had. I got to go, my friends. SDG.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
My friends, do you smoke, vape, or chew tobacco? If so, Knick Knack Naturals is here to help you crush your vice. Knick Knacks are nicotine mints that completely dissolve in your mouth. No smoke, no spit, no mess. This product is only for folks currently using nicotine products who are looking for a better alternative. Visit knickknack.com and use promo code Todd to save 15%. That's NICNAC, knickknack.com, promo code Todd.